Today I'm going to be showing you how I'm setting up all my art and doing all my tooling and stuff on these Spur straps. 4 rad sets, all completely different, and it'll be a little bit more focused on just the drawing, the tooling, and pretty much what really and truly makes these look cool before we get into like stain work and all that kind of stuff. So stop wasting your time and jump right into it. So first we have this bull skull and feather pair. I have a really good bull skull that I like to use, so that's what I traced on there. And then from there, we're going to draw on those feathers and then the rest of the background floral. And we're going to use those big giant feathers to kind of sweep through some of the shapes to kind of fill in as much space as possible while still also flowing really nicely. Like you'll see once I get those feathers in there, the floral is almost kind of self-explanatory just because those feathers are going to demand so much space in the design. Not just size, but like how much I think about actually incorporating those into the design. Then from there, it's pretty standard. We're going to go ahead and swivel knife it all in and then go on to the rest of the tooling. Some days when I'm doing matching sets, I'll do like all the beveling, then all the backgrounding, and like all the steps at the same time. Sometimes I tool it all at once and just treat them each different. Just depends on how I'm feeling. Then from there, it's standard tooling. You know, it's bevels, pear shader, decorative stamps, background. Nothing too special. If you notice, my piece does move around quite a bit. That's because I don't really care for the weighted method, like to have a weight to keep it still. I kind of like having it move around so I can just move around it easier. However, I'm noticing it's not the greatest for time lapse, so I will definitely be trying to make the next one a little more still for you guys. This next set of spur straps is a nice cross set. I found a cool cross, so that's what you see me tracing on first. But on this first spur strap, you see that I'm going to draw a giant kind of flower to take up a lot of that extra space. These were just crosses and floral. So with the one spur strap, I wanted to incorporate some actual flowers and give everything a nice flow. Then when we move on to this next one, you're going to see that I actually kind of incorporate the vine work to kind of intermingle and twist with the cross itself. There's some points where it goes above, behind, loops around. Then we're going to give it a quick little swivel knife. Make sure all the cuts are nice and deep and ready to bevel. And then same with this one, standard tooling, you know, swivel knife, beveler, pear shader, scallop tool, backgrounder, decorative cuts for the most part in that order. And then they are ready to roll for paint. So this next set was pretty unique. We wanted to do sunflowers, and then on one spur strap we're doing the brand, and then on the other side we're doing her horse's head. So as long as we kind of mainly focused on the brand and that horse head as well as those sunflowers and the cactuses, we kind of just filled in the floral in the background space that we had left to work with. But you could see for the most part it fills up super quick. And that horse head and the brand and the cactuses and the sunflowers really take up a bulk of what these spur straps are. And then from there we move on to standard tooling, same drill, swivel knife, pear shader, bevelers, all that stuff. So this American flag pear is pretty fun. It's actually a thin blue line flag pear. I pretty much chose a cool, even flag kind of pattern. For the most part, the flags are pretty easy to tool. What gets tricky is when you start dealing with the stars. You'll see here that I get done tooling all the stripes pretty quickly, even giving them texture and stuff. But then when it comes to these stars, it just takes a really long time. I like kind of having a unique / realistic star kind of pattern going on for these. If you do them too small, then it just kind of looks weird, and then if you do them too big, you know, that also looks weird. So we try and do the best we can to kind of make it look realistic, without still, you know, if you put those stars and make them way too small, it's just gonna look kind of like crap. You're gonna make them sloppy. So we do the trade-off for, you know, bigger stars, while still being able to look cool and not too big and clunky and goofy. Then we're off to paint, which is probably the biggest love-hate relationship I have in my leather shop. Painting for me is super fun. It's super oddly satisfying. You know, it really starts bringing the tooling to life, and I can kind of see the finish line for the vision that I had for it. But gosh darn it, can it get away from you when it comes to time? Like, if there's a number one time waster where I don't where I don't quite pay attention to the clock as much as I should, it's definitely doing paint. The tricky thing about paint is that it just like has to be perfect, you know, like you can't really rush through it. You got to just go as slow as you need to in order to make sure that you're not, you know, getting sloppy or, you know, going over the edges, not going close enough to the edges. So it's just one of those things that can easily get away from you when it comes to the time on the clock. Also, something to consider is, like, you know, if I'm painting something for an hour and I pick up a, you know, a paint jar and it is a little bit drier than the next, like let's say it's 10% drier and it takes 10% longer, like we're gonna add in a whole another 6 minutes. You know, if it's like 25% drier, we're adding another 15 minutes onto that hour. So it's definitely something that's very difficult to gauge time, every single project. You know, sometimes certain leather doesn't quite take as well. You know, sometimes it might just be kind of a hotter day, so when you have your paint out, it dries a little bit quicker on you, so by the end you're struggling with it, keeping it wet. There's like a whole variety of factors that can go into it. And the only reason I'm so concerned about the time and the paint is that it's kind of one of those unsung middle steps where you kind of got to get through it as quickly as you can without, you know, like rushing and making it sloppy and all that kind of stuff. Just because it really can get away from you. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been doing a piece and the paint literally just takes twice as long, and we're just talking about like one step, you know. So if you lose an hour or 45 minutes or even an hour and a half to the time of your paint, you know, it's just like money you're losing. So it's definitely one of those things you gotta try and pay attention to. And there we go, 4 unique sets of spur straps. I'm a little partial because I like skulls and I also like feathers. That one was my favorite, but I really like how they all kind of work in their own unique way. I really like the way that those crosses sit in that floral, and I just really like the colors of that horse one as well. And then I'm always super excited to do work for, you know, military and law enforcement, so I do love those flag ones as well. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I like making them, and I got a whole bunch more coming up, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for all the other cool shit we got coming in the future.